The next thing we're going to talk about is the project Bluebird. Which Project Bluebird? I'm not sure yet. I think it has something to do with the Great Awakening. How about the extraterrestrials? Okay. There's Project Blue Beam, which is about faking an alien invasion. Who are the extraterrestrials? There's good ones and bad ones. The bad ones are the Greys, Nordic aliens, the reptilians. The good ones are difficult to figure it out who might be good, but there's some other names that are bandied around, like, for example, the Pleiadians. Gene Roddenberry was the creator of Star Trek, and he had a vision for humanity. And in Star Trek, we saw the vision of it. We were going to be a space-faring species. And the original Star Trek came about in the late 1960s when there was great racial problems. And in Roddenberry's view, all the races were going to come together and work together as one. What else was going to happen? Well, technology was going to advance so that we could get spaceships. They could go faster than the speed of light, so we can travel to the stars. And we were going to go on a great mission, a great adventure to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man had gone before, and no woman had gone before, and no. So that was Star Trek, and the Star Trek represented a number of planets known together as the Federation. And what else do we know about the Federation? Well, they worked together for the common interest of all of them. And what else? Some of them were more different than others. We had the Vulcans, who were very logical and not emotional. Humans who were logical and emotional. And some other places like the Tellarites, who were pretty much just emotional. Then they ran into the Klingons, who were pretty much warriors and irrational. They just love to fight. So what's the issue with this? Well, it's not really illustrated too much in the Star Trek, but it is a military arm, and we do see from time to time they end up on space stations where they use credits. So they're using money, and they sometimes run into interstellar traders. So what's going on with Star Trek? They're a military arm, and their world is still based upon Illuminati pyramid, because you've got 13 people at the top who own everything. And in the Star Trek universe, it's still the same. So are they going to evolve? No. The vast 99.99% of the people on Star Trek, on the ships, are not evolving. They're having their adventures, but they're not evolving. So what do we know? Pretty much the idea is, if there are extraterrestrials, a big question mark even today, despite all this stuff that goes way back to Roswell, Mexico, and the crash of the UFOs, best bet is there are no extraterrestrials in touch with humans. Zero. Best guess. And what about the people who are channeling the extraterrestrials? Best guess is they are being afflicted by schizophrenia, mental illness. They've got multiple personality disorder. It's just that the technology from the military industrial complex is hidden from us. And they have got hidden technologies so that they could, you know, do all kinds of things to make us think that there might be extraterrestrials. But if there are, it's most likely humans. David Wilcock, who I mentioned in my last video, the internet commentator, said that that's what's already existed, a breakaway society. Brilliant people invented ways to go into space, and they've gone into space and they've started colonizing other moons and planets, and they're way more advanced than us. You can go back to the I think it was 69 movie, 2001 A Space Odyssey, and those were the smart people who started the breakaway society. So if there's any trade that's going on, interplanetary trade, it's being done by humans who originated on planet Earth. Is it going on? We don't know. We've got stories, but no real proof. What else is going on? Well, we've got the idea still somehow that we have got to keep away from the Illuminati pyramid because this is a tyranny. It's a dictatorship. There's only 13 people that run all of us. So we have all of these stories going on. They're on mainstream news, they're in books and novels, and they're on YouTube, and you've got all kinds of commentators that are talking about all this kind of stuff. So you've got QAnon people, and you've got still Christians that are talking about the rapture, the end of days, which comes out of the book of Revelation in the Bible. You've got the New Age people. What are the New Age people? Oh, they keep bringing up this Nasara, which has been renamed Jisara, which is related to these ascended master people, which is related to bringing back gold-based currencies. And the ascended masters are going to give everyone money. What's it all about? Most of the things I've talked about are a continuation of the 13 people at the top of the Illuminati pyramid controlling everyone else. The only things that I'm talking about that aren't related to that are those very few people who are actually evolving themselves. How do they do that? Well, even the internet commentator, David Wilcock, who mixes all of this kind of stuff together in his soup, says that, what's his history? He used to smoke a lot of dope. And then he stopped smoking dope, but he continued to meditate. And he keeps talking about himself personally having synchronicities. So this is Deepak Chopra's book about synchronicity called Synchrodestiny. What is David Wilcock's Synchrodestiny bringing him to? More and more a known personality on planet Earth who's pretty much a benevolent person. He wants an advanced human society. Is he a good guy? Let's go with he's about 100% good guy. Why about? Well, because I think sometimes he's still trying to figure it out. But we're going to give him full marks. And who else we're going to give full marks to? We're going to give Donald Trump about a 75% average. Because despite him still being a billionaire, he is nowhere near the top of the Illuminati pyramid. Whatever amount of money he has, he's maybe down here, maybe he's in the top third of this pyramid, but he's not at the top. Is he smarter than he looks? I don't know. There's so many cuckoo stories about Donald Trump and his uncle who went and got all the papers that belonged to Nikola Tesla, the great inventor. Is it true? How about that book that came out in 1898 about Baron Trump, the little boy Trump, Donald's youngest son, and time travel? I don't know, there's lots of cuckoo things. What's the takeaway of all these cuckoo things? Well, they might be interesting stories for boys and girls. But for you, you need to focus on the people who have advanced their souls. How did they do that? They smoked dope. They did psychedelics. Who else did psychedelics? Well, apparently a lot of people in Silicon Valley are doing microdosing of things like LSD and magic mushrooms. They're not taking huge doses, but they're taking a small dose every day or every 3 days to help make them smarter. Who else did this? A lot of different people. So meditation and psychedelics are a way, but the nuns and the monks didn't do psychedelics. What did they do? They spent a lot of time meditating. So if you don't want to do psychedelics, you can do meditation. And it's built right into your system. It doesn't cost you anything. It only costs you time. And if you do psychedelics, well, what might happen to you? You might go crazy. Are you going to evolve your soul if you go crazy? The problem with a lot of people who do psychedelics is it's still got a certain amount of stigma because a lot of these things are still considered illegal in a lot of places. Are they dangerous? They can scare you to death. But if you didn't take any of these psychedelic drugs, you still might have what's known as dark night of the soul, which is basically incredibly scary. And you're going to say, I wish I took drugs because at least I could say, well, I'm going to stop taking those drugs. But if you have a dark night of the soul and you ever took drugs, then what are you going to blame it on? Nevertheless, in Star Trek, I want to bring it to your attention that there were some advanced species who had superpowers. Starting in the first episodes of Star Trek in the first season, they ran into people who had superpowers. Were they advanced people? Some were. Some just had superpowers, but they were not very nice people and they had superpowers. Can you get superpowers and be a not nice person? The answer is I can't tell you. I don't know, but I think so, yes. And maybe some of the superpowers you get are technology based rather than being a good person based. That's the end of this talk. Please tune in to my next one where I will continue.